Can I go to an area that I questioned last time, and that was the quite inappropriate payment of taxpayers' money through the ABC to one Mr John Sullivan for his footage of the US Capitol riot. Are you aware that the US authorities have now seized $90,000 from this man who sold footage of the Capitol riot? Can you give us an assurance that the $90,000 that was seized by US authorities was not in fact, or part of that, was not in fact Australian taxpayer money?
Senator, I can't give you that assurance, but I did, as I think I gave evidence last time, we did pay Mr Sullivan for footage that he had obtained during the Capitol riots.
Oh, well, I'm aware of that, but some of this money that he was paid for this outrageous footage, which he helped incite with some of his commentary, has now been seized by US authorities. And I note from last time I'd asked a number of questions which I still don't think I've had answers on notice as to, for example, was the ABC aware that Sullivan already faced riot and criminal mischief charges for his participation in the Black Lives Matter protest the June before? I'll have to get back to you on notice, Senator, as to whether or not we knew. Did you know?
Senator, I didn't personally know, but yes, so we did make inquiries, and yes, the program team did know that at that particular point in time he was charged for his role in the Capitol riot.
And he's been charged with more offences since then, and so the ABC thinks that this is quite appropriate to pay money to somebody that's facing serious criminal charges to get some sort of sensational footage of a situation that he himself is inciting.
Senator, so the program itself was about what was behind the Capitol riot. Mr Sullivan was not talent. We did not interview him. The footage that he had was sought after by other news outlets, so including CNN, I believe,
yeah, but
and the Washington Post.
Of your responsibility.
The footage that we used was a small part of the story, and it was the fatal killing of a woman that was there, that was otherwise previously unseen by anyone in Australia. So it is customary that we do pay for footage.
Oh, I'm aware of that.
So that is not unusual, but we didn't interview him, and it was important to the program.
And so you don't worry the source of the information, including this fellow who quite openly said, burn this SHIT down. You know, he was getting footage inciting further violence and activity there to make the footage even more sensational, and here we are using Australian taxpayers' money to fund somebody like that, so outrageous that US authorities have now seized that funding. Are we going to review the way we do business in the future?
Senator, in the context of the program, it was important that we obtained that footage. So it wasn't a large amount of money that was paid to this man, and we thought it enhanced the program and was there for the program to inform our audiences around what was behind the Capitol riot.
So you're willing to pay a criminal and somebody who is deliberately inciting the crowd just for sensationalism for ABC ratings?
Senator, I don't know.
Isn't there a moral compass that you need to apply to this, even if you do want the footage to say, but we will not fund somebody with those antecedents?
What I have asked and what I have obtained is we knew he was charged for that. So whether or not as to his background with regard to the fact that he was then indicted for this is, I think, another matter. So at the time we knew he was charged and we made the decision to obtain the footage.
And does this exercise mean that you'll do anything different in the future?
I think we examine these things on a case-by-case basis, depending on the story, depending on the individuals involved, who holds the footage.
So you would do the same again?
Senator, if the circumstances were repeated or similar, I think you would look at what sits behind the stories and the stories that are being told to give context to the Australian public about how
Would you do
something
the
happened.
same again?
I think,
We now know the facts. We now know the facts.
well, for
He
the facts
went
that,
in there inciting people, caught it on his own footage, as somebody who's had his money seized by US authorities, and no lessons to be learned from here, according to the ABC.
Senator, I think that, hindsight's a wonderful thing, so I think that we assess these things on their merits every single time that we have a program.
And hindsight allows us to say, surely, given the circumstances again, we would not do it again. That's what I'm wanting to hear from the ABC. But what I'm hearing is, no, we're just after a sensational story, and if we have to pay criminals who are inciting the crowd, we don't care because we're only after the ratings. That's not the standard I
Senator,
would
we
expect of our national
do have
broadcaster.
guidelines on these things that we do follow, and again, we assess those matters very carefully at the time as to what the importance is to the story that we have. And it's impossible for me to say we'd never do anything like that again, but I think that we would certainly think carefully about who we pay for what into the future. I mean, we didn't. My understanding is that decision was not taken lightly at the time. And decisions were made with regard to that particular story with what was known at that particular moment in time, which was the 13th, 14th of January.